time, and we'll begin with, first of all, welcoming everybody tonight. And John, if you would open us in prayer.
Sure. Thank you, Jim. Can we bow our heads, please? Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day that we were able to enjoy, and wonderful weekend, and it's wonderful driving in here and seeing all the people over there enjoying themselves at the farmers market. Dear Lord, please be with us tonight and give us your wisdom and discernment. We thank you for the many blessings that you've given us here in Georgetown Township, and we pray for our employees. You give them strength, and our first responders. And it was a tragedy this weekend, and we pray that everyone is comforted, Lord, and that you're there for strength. Thank you for all you do for us. Again, help us this evening. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thanks, John. You all stand for allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all.
All right.
I just still have this cough, but no big thing.
Lingering, huh?
It is lingering.
Roll call. Everyone is here tonight except the clerk who normally call the roll. And he did let me know he had a conflict. So we've got a quorum, obviously. Item number 5, approval of tonight's agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Support.
Moved and supported. Any comments? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And our agenda is approved. Item 6, communication letters and reports received for information. Item 7, public comment period here for those who come this evening. If there's anything on tonight's agenda that you wish to address now, you're welcome to do so. You'll have an opportunity later to speak to anything that might be on your mind other than our agenda items. So, seeing none at this point, then we'll close that initial public comment period. Item number 8 is our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
Support.
Moved and supported. That was Gary who moved that, and then Becky supports. Any comments? Anything? Nope. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And our consent agenda is approved. All right. Quickly up to number 9 now, the new aerial platform fire truck, something that has been often anticipated here. And we're now up to that point of making the purchase. So this came out of services. And is there someone here who wishes to make a motion, place that before the board tonight concerning that purchase?
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the new aerial platform fire truck at the bid amount of $1,818,140 and change, and to amend the 2023 general fund budget to include ARPA revenue and related capital expenditure as recommended by services.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. I know that it's both an appropriate time for comment among the board as well as from our chief. So perhaps we'd like to start with Chief, and from there, any questions to him or comments to one another are welcome.
Chief loves public speaking. He's so excited that you just turned it over to him.
Welcome, board. I'd like to do a little PowerPoint presentation for the board on the current aerial platform we have, the proposed new platform. This here is the current platform we have that's housed at Station 1 at 44th and 14th. The brand name on this is a 2000 Ferrera fire apparatus. Now this was purchased when we went in with Grand Rapids, and this again is in 2000. They had a vision to buy 3 platforms. The fire chief here at that time thought it would work well to attach our platform with theirs. Also, East Grand Rapids jumped on board, so they purchased 5 aerials. Grand Rapids did a little different. They bought just the platform without pumps. Their rationale back then was they have plenty of engines to relay pump to the relay pump up the ladder to the nozzle where East Grand Rapids and Georgetown felt the need to have a pump on each one.
So is it a discount then to purchase that many at once? Is that
I
why
think there was a discount. I don't know the total, but I do know back then we paid $700,000 for the current apparatus we have.
Oh.
Now with that, Georgetown had discussions with Jamestown, and the current aerial that you'll see outside of, say, Georgetown, Jamestown. The reason for that is Jamestown contributed $250,000 towards that apparatus, and Georgetown funded the rest. The current aerial has a 2,000-gallon-a-minute pump, just a small 300-gallon water tank. Anytime you use that apparatus, it takes tapping into a fire hydrant to get a good supply of water, flowing 2,000 gallons a minute. Has numerous fire attack lines, ladders, fans, SCBA or self-contained breathing apparatus, portable radio communication, tarps for salvage and overhaul. Looking ahead now to the new aerial, solicited 4 bids. One was Toyne, one was R&R Incorporated, one was HME right here in Wyoming, and the fourth is West Shore Fire in Allendale. At the end of the bid cycle, or the application cycle, we received 2 bids back. Obviously, Toyne and R&R. HME, E1 declined to submit a bid.
Why would someone decline to submit a bid typically?
Pardon?
Why would they decline to submit a bid, do you think?
Well, they felt that it was it's a lot of time putting this together, and they just didn't feel that they had the right amount of time. So the packets were sent out to all 4, and 2 of them returned. So again, looking at the applications when they came back, the committee did a fabulous job of first constructing the apparatus, and then secondly, when the quotes came back in to go through them thoroughly, and what they found with R&R, they did not meet the bid specifications. R&R pretty much stated they submitted an aerial quote, but does not meet our specifications. What their aerial they proposed was a demo unit currently coming down the line. So to say they spec'd an aerial, they did. But to say they spec'd our aerial, they did not. Looking at it, this apparatus, if they were to get the bid, any changes that were made would be out of our pocket, which would ultimately increase the cost. This here is the truck committee members: Deputy Chief DeWitt, Captain Matt DeWitt, Lieutenant Phil Van Hubel, Firefighter Dave Butler, Firefighter Ben Momber, and Firefighter Dave Stewart. As I said, over the last year, they spent countless hours meeting at Station 1, putting things together, conducted numerous field trips, Glendale, Walker, Holland City. Anybody that had an aerial, they were out looking around what would work best for Georgetown. That's how we got to where we are today with Toyne. These are the meeting nights that they've held over the last year and a half. And as I said, they put countless hours into this apparatus. Final pricing: since COVID, fire apparatus pricing has escalated. 2 years ago, we purchased 2 new engines at about $530 apiece. Right now, an engine that we purchased 3 years ago goes for about $1 million. So if we do 2 engines right now, it'd probably be $2 million. So again, pricing for apparatus is pretty much through the roof. Vendors that do an apparatus like this, they are constantly hit with increased charges on the apparatus, whether it be steel, whether it be aluminum, whatever it takes to build these apparatus, there is always an increase in what they're doing. Toyne has stated in their final quote that they have added increased funding to try and augment any future price increases, where, to my knowledge, R&R has not done that. That's another rationale reason for going for Toyne. Currently, our engine's on a 15-year replacement. Aerials are on 20. From the time of order to delivery is approximately 2 years. And like I said, timeline for ordering is 24 months. The purpose of an aerial. Currently, we've got 17,000 residential homes. We've got multiple 4-story apartment buildings, Waterford Place, GVSU, Sunset, Myers at home. On our ground ladders will not even get us to the roof. So to say there is a need for a new aerial, there is, most definitely. This is Waterford. This here is Allen Springs, Brook Meadow, GVSU. We've got numerous apartments out there. This is a fire we had probably a month ago. It was over on Stephanie, which is south of the 36th Avenue station. Came in about 12:10 in the morning, and everyone was in bed. The neighbor woke them up. Their smoke alarms didn't activate. Everybody got out safe. We put this fire out with our platform. The neighbors in the neighborhood there are just ecstatic with what we did utilizing that truck.
Cause of that fire, just out of curiosity?
Smoking.
Okay.
Smoking and threw it in the trash can. So this, again, I'm going to do that right now. No, and it looks bad, and ultimately it is. But the homeowner, when we had the fire knocked down, came to us and said, "I have a favor to ask." And we said, "What is that?" He says, "My daughter graduates from Jenison tonight, and she is the keynote speaker, and we want to see if you can find her cap and gown." So we sent 2 or 3 guys in there. Her bedroom was right here. We sent 2 or 3 guys in there. They found her cap and gown, took it out for her, and she was able to wear it.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So something so small is really big. So this is another fire we had on west of Hager Park up on the hill. There's same format. It was Labor Day weekend, fireworks related, and we set the platform up. And in a fire like that's the only way to knock it down. Now, if you look at that fire, or even the one before that, what temperature do you think that fire is burning at?
200.
1,000?
2,200.
Pardon?
2,200.
That fire is between 1,000 and 1,500 degrees. And there's no way that we would ever put our personnel in that building. The only way to knock that fire down is with a master stream that's on the platform of that aerial. It don't take long once you get a water supply to it, but we don't put our personnel in until the temperature has dropped down. This one here was about 2-3 weeks ago in Jamestown at their trailer park there on Riley, just east of 24th. We were there, and also Hudsonville was there. You see, our aerial is the closest one. Hudsonville's is in the distance, but they did have 2 aerials there. By the way, Jamestown currently has their own aerial on order. So That should be here in about a year, maybe a little bit less. This here is a fire we had a few years ago on Pine Ridge where we didn't put any personnel in this one. You can see right here the whole roof caved in. Not putting personnel in there. We kept them all outside here. We don't put them in there until we had the fire knocked down where they could go in with hand lines and mop it up. Selected equipment from the current aerial will be transferred to the new aerial. Some of the equipment that is in the quote is equipment we already have, but they included in the quote, so we'll have a couple of each. For the purchase of the new aerial, what are the options for the current aerial? And right now, the market on used apparatus is different, but this is not a decision we need to make today. We've got 2 years to make this decision, whether we try and sell it, which unless the market starts coming back up, or whatever other avenue that we can do.
See, that last option was keep it in service and then potentially having 2 or whatever. How common is it, Chief, like you showed us that one picture where Hudsonville showed up, how common is it when you have a fire that's got an aerial truck at it that some other local municipality sends one as well?
We do have, let's take Sunset Manor. If we get a structure fire or a response there, our aerial is there, Allendale sends theirs there, Hudsonville sends theirs, and I believe even Granville is on that alarm. So we've got 4 aerials that come in. In a building like that, it's a lot easier to use that aerial than it is throwing ground ladders all over the place. So, and with the tenant or resident volume there, we have to do that. And so that's why we've got 4 of them on that building.
So does it seem unlikely that we'd want to keep a second one around in a couple of years when this one's delivered?
You know, we've got 2 years to look at this. If the market did not pick up on used apparatus, I would recommend that we keep it. And what you're seeing here is municipalities are using more ARPA funds, and they don't want to buy the used stuff. They want the brand new stuff. So that leaves any used apparatus just sitting there that nobody really wants.
You have a place to put it if you keep the second one?
Pardon?
Would you have a place to put it if you had to keep a second one?
I'd move it up to 3s on 36.
Do you have room in that barn for it?
This here is just about the new aerial that we're recommending. If you get time, go on over here, and that's pretty much the new aerial in the blueprint format. So,
Chief, you said Jamestown has one on order?
pardon?
So Jamestown has one on order?
Jamestown does have one on order.
Is it from the same company, you know?
No, theirs is from Pierce Manufacturing, which is in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. There's a couple of those around from Pierce. Holland City has one, and Jamestown kind of like that one, so that's why they went with Pierce. Any questions, comments?
What an increase in cost in a span of a handful of years.
The question is, why can they upscale pricing like that? And the only answer anybody can give is because they can.
Yeah. And the government flooded the market with money, right?
And that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Yep. Wow.
It's the same thing with heavy equipment.
Pardon?
It's the same thing with heavy equipment.
Oh, exactly.
Like Skytrax.
Not here.
Skytrax a couple months ago, if you order one now, it takes you a year to get one. You can't. It's just incredible.
Yep.
I think during your last update 6 months ago, you mentioned that we have the highest rating for a part-time municipality, but a part-time fire department because of our equipment, but also because of our personnel.
Correct.
So that the rates for homeowners is much lower here because of the high standards we've had with the fire department.
Right. Back in 2019, we did our ISO evaluation, where they come out and obviously rate the fire department. And back then we had to do, to finish our evaluation, we had to do a hose relay, of which we laid out a mile's worth of 5-inch supply line. And then we had to put an engine every 1,200 feet, and we had to meet a 5-minute deadline from the time it started until we got water to that last engine. And we made it by 40 seconds. In getting that, along with everything else, with our engines, with our hose, as well equipped as we are down, 10 is a poor rating. 10 is not a fire department at all. And when we were all said and done and they did all their numbers, we were rated a 3. Now, in a part paid department, that's almost unheard of. Mm-hmm. There's full-time departments that aren't even lower than a 3. So they'll probably be here again in probably 2 years. And do I think we're going to come down anymore? We'd really have to push it. But having 2 aerial platforms like that would definitely help us.
Right. That was the argument when we got the aerial platform. Remember that discussion when they got it 20 years ago that our insurance numbers would go down for having that in the township.
Yeah, with the ISO rating, I talked to my insurance company, Oliver Van Dyke. I think it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, to ask him what that translates to in real world numbers. And it's about $3 to $5. So it's not like a significant, it's something better than nothing. Mm-hmm. The key is the ISO rating means it's the qualifications that we are top notch. Not so much the savings are nice, but it's just not a big savings number. Oh. How many hours on our current aerial truck?
I can get that for you tomorrow. So all I got to do is look at the dash.
Okay. And then miles too, if you can get me that one.
There's like 40,000. 40,000. Now, when you do a fire truck, when you throw that thing in pump gear and you hit it and drive, that impeller is spinning, but you're also putting miles on that truck. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, it still does mileage, not just hours. There's not a hour meter on it. Huh. Is it like a PTO?
Pardon?
Like a PTO?
Yes.
Okay. And then how often do we have to have them certified? I know is it every, as far as the aerial ladder itself, is that every 5 years?
There's a couple different, a couple different scales on servicing a ladder. This year, I believe they come through every October. And last year we did the full scale ladder maintenance schedule, where this year it's the more or less. So every 5 years you have to do a major or the largest test to that platform.
Let's see, what else?
What kind of warranty service you get from this company when you buy something like that from them?
As far as years go?
Yeah.
I believe it's like a 10-year.
Okay.
Yeah, really anything that you have happen to the truck, they cover. And what works good for Twine, they're manufactured in Breda, Iowa. The salesman lives in Allendale. He's already contracted. We've got 4 other Twines. We utilize Klein's on Wilshire, Klein's Repair. And that's another benefit to go with Twines. They got mobile trucks, and they also have a major apparatus repair shop, not only on Wilshire, but in, I think it's the Georgetown Industrial Court. That's where they service all the fire trucks. So that's a huge benefit.
Yeah.
What is the cost of that certification?
Pardon?
The cost of that certification? $5,000?
For the ladder company every year?
Yeah.
It's like $600.
Oh, 600? Oh, that's not bad. Because I know I do see it come up on bills as far as just regular maintenance. If you were to estimate how much yearly maintenance, oil changes, I always see little stuff come up.
Time of year.
As far as that, but as far as just oil changes, I see it claims will show like replaced, I don't know, an ECU or something.
Yeah, this year, right now, in fact, last week is when we started our DOT maintenance, where all of our trucks go to Klein's and they go through them and change the fluids and check the tires right on down the line. That's a once in a year mandatory thing, unless we get a breakdown somewhere. But these maintenances, we have to do that.
Right. And I think either Rob or Justin, sorry, looking at you, it made me think twice. Could you pull me like the maintenance cost for that aerial truck for the past 5-10 years? Just so we can see it. If we see a pattern, if it's getting older, are we going to expect to see $5,000 a year in maintenance if we keep it $10,000? Right, because I think we have it broken down as an asset. Each truck, each engine has its own apparatus, has its own number, if I remember correctly on the bills. That's my fear, is keeping it is going to be a expensive cost. And if Jamestown's getting a new one, Allendale, everybody's got one. We mutual aid, so I think that was. Oh, and I did check, and it looks like depending on the mileage and hours on the pumps, they do get 150,000. So I'm not sure how quick they sell. I mean, it's going to be probably a little bit of a market.
That'll go again whatever the market is doing in 2 years, as far as selling it.
Right, and I think we got something unique. So we're big, so we got $5.5 million. Some township, I'm not sure how much money Jamestown got in ARPA. Probably not a lot. So I think these smaller communities, they didn't get the big money where they're like, hey, let's buy a brand new, engine or pump truck or aerial. So
I think as far as Jamestown goes, they're under a fire millage. That's where they got their money from.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And there's Granville got one for free.
Yeah, I asked Roger about that.
Yeah. I think when it comes to the time, I know in the past sometimes we've given trucks to smaller communities that didn't have, not aerials maybe, but
yeah,
we've done some kind things for other places sometimes in UP or other remote places where they would just be glad to have, a secondhand truck. I think this is one where I think, it's a couple years away, but we want to get what we could get out of it money-wise,
Right.
What do you think?
No, and what you said is correct. We worked with one municipality up across the bridge into the West Green Township or something like that. We had an older two-man truck, and they gave us $10,000 for that. Another case in point where let's see if we can help this department out. And they came out, bought it sight unseen, and took it back up. They're still running it today, and they just love the truck. And they said the one thing we like about it has brakes.
Good.
Yeah, that works.
It's really a high benchmark that they're shooting for.
Thank you, Chief. Don't go too far because you're on the next point too as well. Among the board, comments, discussion. I know we've received a pretty thorough rundown both today as well as it's been anticipated through the budget and discussed for the past year or so.
Very detailed, excellent.
Yes,
Thank you for showing things in action. That's great.
Yeah.
It matters to me, the committee that was involved. When you have a committee involved for that long and looking at it as experts, that carries a lot. Yeah.
I think that an important point just to highlight is that this was something that we were budgeting for. This was something that was an anticipated expense. This wasn't something that was like, oh, we have some ARPA money. Hey, Chief, what do you need? Like, what's on the dream board? Something like that. This was a purchase that we were going to make. This is, an expense that we knew was coming. And then the fact that we can use ARPA revenue to cover that cost versus it coming out of, our other budget line items, I think is icing on the cake. But I want to make sure that we're talking about it like this is a need that we knew was coming, and the fact that we can use ARPA money for it is great. So.
That 23 years is pretty good run.
Yep.
Save time for a new one.
All right, well, the motion before you, and so I'm going to call for the vote at this time. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, and it passes.
I have one question that just came to mind. Is there because we have an agreement with Jamestown, because we have an agreement with Jamestown, the aerial truck we currently have, to sell that truck, do we have to get with Jamestown to figure out what to do with that? Nope. Or is that agreement null and void over time? I'm just curious.
We had personnel that would drive the truck to Jamestown when they got called. That their personnel would run the apparatus, and our personnel would drive it. Over a period of time, I don't do that anymore.
Okay.
No discussion about,
Okay.
You've done all the maintenance, so correct?
in the last 20 years, they have not given one dime.
Okay. I just want to get it out there now because I know we're 2 years away, but now's the time to bring it up. So. Okay. And we've stored it. I get that. And we've done due diligence. So, all right.
I think with that one too, maybe we want to go back to the service records since we got it. Because if Jamestown says, hey, we want a portion of it when it sells, if we've been maintaining this for 23 years,
right.
Here are the receipts.
Yeah.
We'll gladly share it with you when you pony up half of it.
Money.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. That was my only question.
Nothing against Jamestown.
No.
Good question.
All right, item number 10, digital signs for fire station number 2. Out of services. Yeah. Yeah.
Before Chief comes up, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the digital sign for fire station number 2, specifically from the same vendor that we've used previously, D Signs LLC, in the amount of $18,505.
Support.
They moved and supported. I know it wasn't that long ago that we approved the first time, maybe within the last year to year and a half.
Yeah, we, probably 2-3 years ago, we did, Station 3 on 36 and Station 1 on 44th. And this one, we did the 2 first, but, as well as those signs work, I would like to do, Church Street, Station 2. We put a lot of information on there. I know we even get requests from the township and Justin about putting information on there as pertaining to voting or looking for part-time park help. It's just a way to get the information out around the township. So, and I'm glad to do that. That sign is yours just as much as it's mine. So, and this sign at Station 2 would be no different.
D&D.
Pardon?
D-signs or designs, however they say it, they're more than the next bid, right? There was a lower bid. We worked with them before. I assume there's a reason.
Yeah, I realize the price difference in the signs, but D-Signs is the vendors for the 2 current signs. My thoughts are just to have one vendor instead of 2. I don't know what job Grand River would do, but that was my recommendation to do D-Signs.
You said in committee that they were professional and easy to work with, and that your staff found it.
Anytime we have something, they're Johnny on the spot, and they come out and take a look at it. So.
Okay.
And you said there was ease of the computer system running the sign. That
Right, we can
very
do
easy to operate.
everything off a laptop.
Yep, perfect.
Any other questions for Chief?
No, I don't.
Let's see. Size-wise, it's similar
Pardon?
Size-wise, it's similar resolution and everything?
Say that again?
Size-wise, compared to the current two we have, resolution-wise, is it higher resolution?
The Grand River sign is a little bigger. But
But the sign that we're gonna get from D-Signs is the same as the one that's at stations 1 and 3 currently, with the exception of it's one-sided only, because that's what the need is at that location, correct?
basically, 1s and 3s could do double-sided,
Yep.
where this one's a single-sided sign.
But then to length and width, it's the same as the ones at 1 and 3. Resolution, it's the same as the ones at 1 and 3.
Say that again?
The sign that we're gonna get from D-Signs, I know that it's one-sided instead of 2, but the size of it is the same as the ones that we currently have, right?
D sign
Yeah.
is the same size, where the Grand River is bigger.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna ask this question. You're gonna go to one side because it faces the road then?
Yeah. That station is a little different. It comes like this and kind of sits on a curve.
Oh, that's, okay. You're talking Church Street. Okay, that's what you're saying, yeah.
Figure we can stick it back
Oh,
towards the bushes
yeah.
and kind of angle it and it gets to come both ways.
I just seen signs that are like parallel with the road. You're like, that really doesn't do any good. You can't read that thing, so.
But that sign's gonna be just,
I know what you're talking, okay, I understand now.
it'll be just about in the road if you
Yep, nope. I got the wrong station in my mind, Church Street.
plowing and.
Nope, I understand. Yep.
44th is a weird one. The angle that one's on, it's just weird. If you're
Yeah.
trying to read that one.
But I do
road.
read it all when I go by it quite a bit, so I mean, it's kinda nice.
36 is easy to read.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Anyone else on this subject?
I would just say, I didn't mind the signs on 36 and 44th. Those are high traffic. Church Street is just one of those streets that people just don't go down much. And if we didn't just do a budget amendment back in December of 22, we did a total of $130,000, $85,000 for labor, and then an additional $45,000. So it was maintenance and supplies or something. Had we not done that, and our aerial truck too is coming. I think originally we said we'd allocate 1.5 million ARPA, and I think we were estimating 1.6 or 1.5, somewhere around there. And then it came in at 1.7, and now we're at 1.8. I just look at this and say, it'd be neat, but I mean, if this was $18,000 for a drone that could drop a life jacket to somebody, struggling in a lake or fell through the ice, I'm on board. As far as a LED sign for a street that just doesn't get much traffic, I struggle with that. Being a fiscal conservative, I think there's better, I wouldn't say take the money away, but I'd rather see that money go to something else.
Other comments? All right. Hearing none, you've got a motion before you and various comments made by Chief and others. So are you ready to cast your vote?
Yep.
All right. All in favor of the motion before you, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Aye.
And the motion does pass. That was item number 10. Item number 11, the Parks Master Plan. This is only as to contracting for the creation of that plan, not the approval of the plan, obviously, yet. So here again, services, there's someone who wants to make a motion and place that before the board.
I'll make a motion to approve contracting with, except I don't know how to say it, Veritas Banks Design Group for $11,000 to create a Parks Master Plan as recommended by services.
And I would support that.
Who said how to pronounce it? Who was it? Oh, okay, I thought perhaps we had someone from there tonight. No? Okay, all right. Sorry. Yeah, you are. Well, okay, so you've got 3 different proposals. How did you choose the companies you did? I know MC Smith we've worked with in the past, so that was familiar to me. The other 2 were new, at least to me. I don't have reason to doubt their capability, just, yeah. Yeah, they certainly had a lot of other municipalities in the area they worked with. A lot of them. They seem like experienced staff.
Well, also, I've been bidding some jobs for the Ottawa County Parks and Veritas they've been using. So Ottawa County has actually been using themselves for the new Sands Park they're building out in Grand Haven on the island.
Okay.
So I've bid some projects out. So I've seen this name come up recently.
Yeah, they look capable. MC Smith is still dealing with the clock tower, I think. That's probably, they missed this one. Yeah.
And the border wall.
What's that now? Yeah. Oh. I've not heard that one. Yeah.
Look here.
I won't be able to unsee that.
Do you remember that one? That was like at the 4 to 6 month age of the grass, it needs to be trimmed between 6 and 8 inches. At 8 months, it needs to be trimmed. It was like you can't get a lawnmower that you set an 8-inch depth on to hit that. It was just, it should have been mulch. It would have looked a lot better, and it would have been a lot less expensive, and you wouldn't be here.
Beautiful, actually, but anyway. Other thoughts? I know services, you've already vetted these, so I guess those not in service, anybody either uncomfortable or have questions? Trust everybody's read through it. I agree with your point, Rob, being that we're probably missing out on, I mean, the cost is not, you know, the main issue here, the capability is, I think, because we need to have this done to save costs, that is to get grant money, et cetera.
Yep.
Down the road here, hopefully.
Did Veritas have just a ballpark, our chances of getting a grant? Because in the past, it's always been an issue. The fiscally conservative cities, villages, well, cities, that's pretty rare. Townships and villages very rarely get grants. It always goes to, and it's always the east side of the state. Did they have an idea I think you can get one? Feeling good, maybe? Or right. And it's 11,000. So you're saying there's a chance.
I think we were 4 in the past,
I was going to say,
so it's not like it's never happened.
historically, I mean, John, I can remember back when we were members back around, I don't know, 8, 10, somewhere in there. We did get some grants. It surprised me, too, because I agree with you, Michael. I think oftentimes you get penalized for being financially solvent and sound, et cetera. But we did. We were successful in getting some grants in the past. So I'm not completely, pessimistic about that. I think, too, in addition to helping with grants, there will be some ideas that will be stirred, I think, in recommendations that may be,
Well, come on, that's stuff
whether we get grants or not,
I think too, when we're talking about the potential for receiving grants, I think that Justin's a huge asset for us too, because he has been involved in that type of work before. And so his recommendation to services that we really move in the direction of revisiting our Parks Master Plan carried a lot of weight with me, because I think that it's one thing for us for like somebody like me who doesn't have a background in this to say, yeah, we probably should. But for somebody like Justin who carries some experience in this arena to have done some looking at different grants and realized that our master plan wasn't up to date enough for us to even apply, and to be leading the charge with some of that legwork, I just really appreciate that. So thank you, Justin.
That's good to know, Justin. You've got that background. I think you submitted something here recently, threw something in, say, take a shot at, right? You took a shot at one? Yeah, good. Take a shot.
We're lucky to have him. So.
And you are looking at a 5-year rec plan, so $11,000, looking at about $2,200 a year. More, you got to amortize a little bit and go, okay, looking at $2,200 a year over 5 years. I think it's worth a shot. I just think we have enough things in our goals that we can write grants for and try. And I think that having a company like Veritas who has an association with Ottawa County right now could be a benefit.
I wonder, with Veritas, did they say anything like after the 5 years, if we were to reuse them to update the plan, would there be like any discount, like a loyalty, repeat customer, the plan they put together? Right. Yeah, because I would imagine there's quite a bit of time getting up to speed, learning the township and our residents. So that's a lot of initial work that's going in. If that's built in that 5-year, or they're hoping we go longer and then they make it up at, the renewal at 5-year, 10-year. Excuse me. Yeah, I think it's a fairly small amount of money.
Gary, just remember to ask for that discount when you're sitting in my seat in 5 years, right? Remember what we said.
All I know is if we pass this tonight, I got one of my goals done already.
Okay.
Just so you know, that was my goal Parks Plan. So, get it done, and I've got my goal.
Now, as far as services, when they said they're going to, get resident feedback, what does that mean?
As part of the master plan process, that is a piece that is required, and we first have to hire them so that we can hash out the details of what that's going to look like.
Pass the bill to see what's in it.
Well, whether that would be some type of survey.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's what I'm wondering too. We just did a fantastic constituent survey a year ago, and I think number 2 on there was park improvements. So we do know that there is interest. Excuse me. In parks, and then I guess identifying what that means to those residents that responded, listing that as a number 2 important thing in the survey. Good.
All right, I'm going to call for the vote at this time. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And carries. Item 12, introduction and first reading. So first reading only here of ordinance number 2023-05, sidewalk ordinance revision. This came out of finance. So is there a motion to approve the introduction and first reading of this ordinance change?
So moved.
And support.
Moved and supported.
Sorry, it feels a little bit weird to make that motion since I'm not on finance, but if I keep things moving forward, I'm happy to.
Sure. Appreciate it. No, you don't have to be on the committee to. So, but I will ask, since Mike is on the committee, thoughts about this?
There were
different semantics to kind of catch something that's not working as intended, or so I read the language. It sounded similar, but a little more verbose. Yeah.
right. It's just a little tweak. I think we were in finance. We kind of got caught up on looking at what our current ordinance was. And I believe it said on there from changing it from 5 years to, was it 6 years, 7 years? but it's actually 4 years is the current ordinance for a developer to install a sidewalk in a development.
Don't you have to hit like 75% or something of?
Well, and that was a question I had, is we don't want a developer who's going to drag it out, or somebody who buys a lot and says, I'm going to sell it in 20 years and make a fortune in real estate. And then for 20 years, there's no sidewalk in that section and kids have to ride their bikes in the dirt and weeds. And so I understand that number. I just wasn't sure on, what is that happy number?
Required. Oh, that word required is struck.
The old.
How'd you find that old language? Just curious. Yeah, how'd you find it? Yeah, if we changed it years ago.
It was something else, why the ordinance was changed. So this makes it just crystal clear and enforceable.
And it applies to condos as well. And PUDs. Because there's some PUDs without sidewalks, that's part of the trade-off for the PUD. And some condos that have no sidewalks at all. Some will do like a pass. I want to say Somerset did a pass on just one side. So yeah, it just makes it clear for everybody. There's no special treatment. Everybody has to feel the pain.
Okay, good. All right, well,
This could be interesting though, because if I remember right, we approved Georgetown, the Cedar Lake development that's on Fillmore. There's only houses on one side of the street there. They're going to put a bike path along Fillmore and a berm, then the street, and then just sidewalks in front of the houses. And the trade-off was that they're going to do the bike path along Fillmore. So that was the reason they would do that if we only had to put sidewalks just in front of the homes on that development. And that was approved by the Planning Commission. So I just want to make sure this language doesn't screw that up, considering that we made that trade-off to make sure that they did that bike path along Fillmore between the berm and Fillmore. That was the deal. So
Their site plans already been approved?
yes.
So they'd be, they're legal non-conforming.
Right.
And I think in a case like that too, it doesn't make sense to put sidewalks on the other side when there's no.
Well, that's what we
and I
said.
think the unfortunate part is they would have to come into the zoning board of appeals and ask for a variance, which is an unnecessary $450. But
we decided it was a trade-off because of the fact that we're actually putting a sidewalk. It's just not going to be on the road that runs parallel to Fillmore. It's going to be next to Fillmore, and then there'll be a berm, and then the road, and then sidewalk, and then the homes.
Which makes sense.
Which we thought was a good idea, because then that would increase that.
And I think that we want to be clear on the record here too. And as you say, this isn't retroactive, but neither does it matter. Retroactivity implies change. This isn't change, this is clarification.
Right.
The clarification, this is not a change.
Okay.
So. All right. Again, we're tonight approving the language here at the first reading. We're not actually passing the change, so it won't be a roll call vote. It'll just be a general vote here. So, all ready to vote?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That passes. Item 13, introduction, first reading of ordinance number 2023-07, fireworks ordinance revision. This also comes out of Finance Committee. And is there a motion to place this first reading and introduction of this change before the board?
So moved.
Support?
Support.
Supported. Comments among the board? I know I hear a little bit about this every year. You probably do too, from residents, typically those who aren't happy, right, with things going on too much, too long.
It's basically just lines us up with state law.
Yeah. Yeah. No qualms with that? Yeah. Anybody? No? All right. Then, here again, we're not actually making the ordinance change quite yet, so just a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that passes. Item 14 is our second public comment period. For those here tonight, if you wish to address the board, you're welcome to do so at this time. I see we have a scout here tonight. All right. Seeing none, then we'll close the second public comment period. Item 15, discussion and general information among the board. I guess I'll look to my left to start tonight. Move across to my right. If you have something, please.
I do. I have a question of the board, and that is, and I'm going to try to phrase this properly. I am struggling with the fact that we have a quorum at some of our committee meetings. I believe personally that we shouldn't have a quorum at a committee meeting. I don't think it's proper. I think it's bad ethics. I've gotten a couple different opinions. Most of them lean to the fact that we can, but I think it's bad optics to do that, because with that, personally, we could actually have the entire board go to every committee meeting then too. And I don't think we want that, because I don't think that'd be correct. So I'm looking for some sort of a consensus from the board on whether we should set policy that we don't allow that, or if we can make an agreement that we're not going to do that.
Well, I think the only time you get in trouble is if you begin debate and work towards an agreement between the four more people. So as far as if that was happening, that'd be one thing. But every one of us here is a taxpayer in the township, so everybody has a right to be at any meeting.
I disagree with you putting yourself in the same place as a tax. You are a taxpayer, but once you became a board member, your job changed. Because now you are inserting your position as a trustee or a treasurer or whatever your position is in the township into a committee meeting that I think is not proper. Because you've set up a quorum. You set 4 people in that meeting. And I've sat on numerous committee meetings, and usually it's the committee members that are there, and that's it. And so I have issues with having a quorum at a committee meeting. I just don't think it's proper. I think it's a bad optic.
I disagree. I look at it.
So basically,
those to them is because I take my job serious. I was elected as a fiscal conservative in this community, and I have never wavered from that. Never once have I put any of my personal goals ahead of my constituents. The reason I go to meetings is to see what's coming down the pipeline. Because the minutes, we don't video record them, the minutes don't reflect what was actually happening. I've seen that on numerous occasions where things are put in general discussion, and if there's public present, then they're not brought up. But if there's no public, then it's brought up because in general discussion, it doesn't get recorded in the minutes. So I do it for clarity and transparency, and to see what's coming. So, I mean, if I got to the point where, I was trying to weigh in on something and trying to influence the decision of other board members, that'd be no different than we've had other board members who play round robin and make phone calls to try to see where others are going to vote. So I think that's a little more of an ethics thing right there than actually being there in public at an open meeting that is open to the public.
I think that the problem comes though when we are then in a board meeting here and there's a passive aggressive comment made about like, well, when the services committee was discussing this, I think that yes, we're careful that all four members who are present in the room are having the dialogue. But I think that it still comes up. It still comes up in these meetings in passive-aggressive comments about what happened there. I also think that there's just a professional respect among colleagues that says we all hashed out who was going to be on what committee, and lots of people got their way and some people didn't, but people who didn't get their way aren't showing up at finance and then coming into these meetings and making passive-aggressive comments about what happened in finance, or lingering after the fact and making passive-aggressive comments about what happened.
Quite a bit. Could you cite one specific example of that?
Yeah, I'll just start writing them down moving forward, but I don't have a list currently to
About 2 months ago, we had a utilities meeting and there was an explosion after the meeting. It was incredibly unprofessional. Worst I've ever seen, and I don't think it was resolved. And that can't happen again. That did occur.
And I think we've got
Barry and I were at that meeting, and we were just feet away. And people were asked to leave, and they wouldn't leave. Poorest I've ever seen professional in my entire life. I think that's why Gary brought it up. When I first started on the board, we were told no 4 people at a meeting, and they held to that. And now we got 4 people, and it's causing tension and behaviors afterwards that are not appropriate. You have 3 people, so you don't have a quorum, and that's 3 votes. All you have to do is win over 1 more person. This is hurting us, and it's affecting the staff, and it's demoralizing our people. It should not be 4 people at a meeting.
Very dramatic. One solution we have that's very simple
at that meeting
is we've got cameras. So one of my goals was to record all services, finance, planning, zoning, 100% transparency, all recorded. Then I don't need to be there in person. That'd be fantastic. And then our constituents have the opportunity to see what happens when there's no public there.
But people are even following
that keeps board members on track.
And passive aggressive? No, it's aggressive. People are followed out to the parking lot. It's not appropriate.
People are followed out to the parking lot?
You've done that with me.
Like going to my car? Is that odd that I'm going to my car? Do I stop and talk to you, or do I go straight to my car?
It's when the conversation that Services Committee was having continues after the meeting has been closed with board members who were not on that committee. That is problematic.
I think
That's
we were
frustrating.
trusted to do the work on our each committees that we were placed on. So I sort of feel like we have to respect everybody else. And we're on those committees for a reason, and we don't want a quorum.
Perhaps the question then to be asked outside of, I think, necessarily tonight, but to look into is the question of board policy. I think you used the phrase board policy. I don't know if it's possible to draft board policy to say, look, it may not be a violation of the law to do X, but board policy, if there's a majority, could say we want the board policy to be Y. That's what I would want to look at, because it seems to be there's a consensus among the board not to have that occur. And I don't know if the question is really being raised as to legality as much as appearance and functionality. And if there's a possibility of a board policy addressing that, then it seems to me something that would have to be brought up among the board and voted on as a policy at a future meeting.
I was going to say with that too, the legal aspect of it is we can't draft a policy or ordinance that's unconstitutional. I mean, that's kind of a thing.
And that's the question. I mean,
and
you could say it's an adjunct question, meaning if the assumption in drafting board policy is that somehow that would be illegal, then that would have to be something that would be looked at. No one's trying to step in it, so to speak, but I think if there's a consensus and general will among us, which it sounds there is, to follow that past pattern in practice, then board policy would probably be the best way to direct that. And your question, I guess, is duly noted for the record, which is, can you do that? I guess that's something to be looked at.
Which we can't.
So, anything further?
So how do we move forward with the direction to get the ball rolling on something like that, or getting legal opinion as to what extent or what parameters we have to work within?
It's policy, so it goes to finance.
Excellent. I'll attend the finance committee meeting when that's on the agenda.
We welcome you. You're all welcome to attend any meeting. In fact, it's fantastic because then board members are brought up to speed. So.
Yes, well, it's hard when finance committee meets on a weekday morning and some of us have
Where we
jobs.
could leave it tonight would be
Summertime.
put together a draft policy, all right, for consideration, and it would have to come through committee and take it
Could
from
we
there.
vote on that right now? Have a formal vote that we are presenting that for formal policy?
I know it wasn't on the agenda. It's come up during discussion. We've had debate about that before as to whether or not we wish to add or vote on items within the discussion period. It's not illegal per se. It's just something we try to avoid from.
We have done it in the past.
We have, but I think I'd like to see it on the agenda item. I don't think it's.
Say it again.
I think it should be an agenda item at a future meeting. I don't think we should vote on it tonight.
It'd be the recommendation to send it to Rob to explore what we can do.
And I'm not sure, would we need a motion to that effect to have a draft, policy prepared?
No, I don't think so.
I just asked if you can draft one.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Rob.
It should go to the board ultimately. Whether or not it goes through finance first, it needs to, there are other ways. It may be one of those where you have to reach the board through, through another means. And is there only one means to put an item on the agenda? I don't think so. I don't think it's only the committee. I think you would have to have. Right. I think that might presuppose that it would get bottled up there. Let's first see. And that's typically where it should be sent. And we'll see what Ryan thinks. It's kind of the long and short of it. And then if it's not in favor, then I guess you look at other options as to how to bring it before the board. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Okay. Anyone else? Still on my left, moving towards my right? Okay.
And to the right would just be, John, you did a remarkable job at the Memorial Day service. Thank you so much for all the time you put into that. Jim, I know you did a ton of behind-the-scenes planning to get the order of the service and everybody collected. Our office staff, you guys knocked it out of the park. Justin, thank you. We didn't have a single issue with the electric, which has been bugging me for years. So just a heartfelt thank you to everybody who made that happen, because it was a really lovely event and something I look forward to each year. So thanks for all your work.
Good comment.
I just reiterate that particularly with Justin. First time, you had a checklist, you went through all of it, and it just went seamless.
And you and Rob showed up in matching outfits. It was really a great look for Georgetown Township.
The best we've ever
Had by far.
Okay, if there's nothing further, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.